know if we can get any of the water, so. Straight ahead is the Plaza Hotel, and otherwise known as Biff's Pleasure Palace. They filmed Back to the Future 2 straight ahead. Biff's Casino straight ahead. Biff's is straight ahead. Four Queens Hotel. Old Four Queens. Old casino cage. Old. Find out where the box office is. Inside the Four Queens. Inside. Old downtown Las Vegas. Old downtown Binions. Skull and Nugget, Four Queens. I like zip lining. There's a lot of weird stuff going on down here. Fremont Hotel Casino. Howdy, partner. We're covered up Fremont.
You might recognize us because he worked at Mandalay Bay for the MJ Wood Show.
So that was the Mob Museum, and it was really educational. Really, you know, they went from doing, you know, basically because no one cared about, they had to band together, and that's how the Mafia pretty much started. They had to band together because basically people like the Irish and the Italians weren't being treated fairly coming into this country when they immigrated in this country. So they band together, and then it got organized, and then kind of Prohibition kind of was like the main start of organized crime. But then Prohibition ended, so they had to find new ways by being underground criminals with drugs and other racketeering and stuff. And of course, then the public started getting involved and whatnot. So. So it was very educational, very good museum. I apologize if I'm a little lethargic today. And Johnny 2B signing off. There's downtown Las Vegas. There's Fremont and Four Queens straight ahead. Four Queens is straight ahead. I'm down here in downtown Las Vegas.
See the Four Queens?
Prop guns.
His life changed my dad and turned on his family.
Yes.
Have you seen the movie Goodfellas?
Prosecution. You go to jail.
We got a next telephone. Available 24/7. The first time that he called me in that phone, I did not answer him. When I came back, he really went ballistic on me. He wanted to know why didn't I respond and warn me that in the future, no matter what I was doing, if I call you, you better answer. That was traveling with me at the time, and it was then at the weirdest time. Sure enough, as a speaker, he would yell out,
Years later, at the biggest mob trial in Chicago history, Frank Sr. listened to his own words and then watched his own brother and son, now hobbled by MS, testify against him. Operation Family Secrets brought some of the most sweeping convictions in American mob history. For the first time ever, you're about to hear from the most important...
They're just placed there to steal. Instruments in the age-old mob tradition of kicking up to the boss. They would undercount the bills, lose fill slips, take cash out of the drop boxes. Suitcases full of cash, millions of dollars over the years, went to the bosses in Cleveland, Chicago, Milwaukee. Guys like Joey Dove Zayupa, Nick Chavella, Frank Balistreri.
I pocket the money before it's counted.
They might have been arrested if they stepped foot in Vegas, but that didn't stop them from getting their cut.
Next to or getting next to on several occasions. And then finally you have that day, and he gets a phone call. And right after the phone call, he went in the bathroom and threw up. That's probably the worst. He said,
I make a promise, I will keep it. If I tell you I will be at a certain place, I will be there. I will not break my word to you. Philadelphia, 1980. Angelo, the gentle Don Bruno. Bruno's hero procession had over 100 cars and was witnessed by thousands.
Old slot machine. Lucky to see those glasses. History of Las Vegas. Silver.
That's right. Who's that? He is a bookmaker. Carlos myself.
This is the original Las Vegas courthouse where mobsters were tried here. Of course, they played games though. They played games with the law by pretending they were sick. If they weren't sick, they would lie and say, "I don't remember," and forget things. And of course, judges and lawyers and cops were being paid off.
In the 1970s, Cleveland became known as Mob City, USA.
Cleveland.
Dynamite, dangerous military explosives, they might set something where the timers go off if they wanted to just do some damage to a building. Cleveland, it was a very violent place.
I was the first one I
Las Vegas.
Cities, including this very room in Las Vegas. They would hear testimony from over 800
This was a
witnesses,
courthouse.
suspected murderers, disgraced politicians, alleged mafia leaders. Once the subpoenas started flying, many mobsters went into hiding to avoid testifying. Some developed sudden and mysterious illnesses the press called Keith-overitis.
Senator, I have had 3 major coronary thromboses and I've had diarrhea for 6 weeks.
Some got worse.
Courtroom.
What's the second floor, guys?
Investigation renamed the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 1935. The FBI
Different. Fix the matches, have someone fall for whoever.
Lansky said that. Meyer Lansky.
Yeah.
What was he called in The Godfather?
He's called something else in The Godfather.
Yes.
So we go from that
through the shadows of an underworld.
because no one liked immigrants like Irish and Italians were not welcome in the United States, to prohibition, to basically racketeering, because it was just a thing to do. But basically,
The old roadways.
so it starts from well, no one's going to help you at all. We got to do something. So they said, well, that's why they banded together. That's why they created the mafia, the mob. And of course, you did have some bad blood. And then prohibition hits. And then, and of course, it just became a biz. It's all about the business and racketeering money and doing illegal activities. And that's what's going on here. I sit down. Fixing the races. I had to sit down for a second.
He didn't acknowledge the existence of organized crime from a syndicated, organized fashion, and he always just felt whatever crimes are happening relating to like bootlegging and stuff like that, they're not crossing states and his focus was on the public enemies of that money and things of that sort. That's what it is. We've seen it until 1957, but he changed his tune on that and started off, of course. So the U.S.'s real attack on organized crime is way
The old roadways of mustache people. Before Prohibition, they were petty hoodlums confined to ethnic ghettos in big cities. But by the 1940s, through business savvy and violence, they sat atop a wide array of rackets. Pulled the strings of 1,000 scams.
So we go from
They're kind of running havoc with bringing in bootleg whiskey and stuff like that. So the easiest people to kind of buy off and get on their sides were the police officers. Because, okay, first off, most of them didn't want on the rise. Officials, politicians.
Oh, I bet.
So.
And all of that, and then that was
Yeah. There you go. That's the way to do it. Well, you know, they claim that in his heyday of running Chicago.
Prohibition went into effect on January 17, 1920. It was called the Noble Experiment, but in fact, Prohibition was the business opportunity that changed organized crime in America forever. Gangs that had in the past sold people prostitution or gambling now had a new product and a much bigger market. They built partnerships, networks, and defended their turf. From New York to LA, bootleg wars turned streets into battlegrounds. The city that most openly flaunted Prohibition was Chicago. And the most powerful figure in its bootlegging trade was Johnny Torrio. Torrio had arrived from Brooklyn a decade earlier and had built up booming gambling and prostitution rackets. When Prohibition went into effect, Torrio immediately recognized the immense profits that bootlegging could bring. He and his indispensable first lieutenant, a former bouncer named Al Capone, embarked on a campaign of uniting the gangs of Chicago and laying the foundation for an empire. But first, they had to go through a powerful Irish gang on the north side, led by Dean O'Banion. O'Banion and his Northsiders had been hijacking Torrio's shipments of booze. And in 1924, Torrio's hitmen assassinated O'Banion. 2 months later, O'Banion's lieutenants Jaime Weiss and Bugs Moran caught up with Torrio. Torrio survived the hit, but decided to retire and turn operations over to Capone. With Torrio gone, Capone was free to unleash his ruthlessness. In 1926, Capone's men murdered Jaime Weiss. Bugs Moran was now in charge of the Northside Gang, and the two gangs went after each other in a bloody war of attrition. With bodies piling up in the streets, many believe Capone tried to end it once and for all. It was February 14th, 1929. Moran's men were baited to a warehouse in Lincoln Park with a hijacked truckload of whiskey. When they arrived, they were met by a group of men dressed as police officers. Thinking they were about to be arrested, 7 men did not protest. Then, 2 or 3 men in plainclothes walked in. They pulled Tommy guns out from under their coats, pointed them at the men lined up against the brick wall, this brick wall, and opened fire. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre outraged the public, and the federal government increased its scrutiny of organized crime in Chicago. 3 years later, Al Capone was behind bars for tax evasion. Yet the legend of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was just beginning.
St. Valentine's.
So it started with small crime, gets organized, get the people what they want with prohibition. Probably a big mistake that was made. And we got, this was with the Thompson submachine gun, Tommy gun. This is the wall from the famous St. Valentine's Day shooting where they were seeing the bullet holes. The St. Valentine's Day shooting.
The next screening of the film will be in 30 seconds.
Oh, slot machine. We're down.
Yeah.
Oh, slot machine. Old West.
West in here, you would have seen a hotel, a saloon. You would have seen children playing in the street. You would have seen a small African American community. Some black men owned a few of the early nightclubs. And black men who worked on the railroad. As a matter of fact, Lock City is the early nightclubs. Black men who worked on the railroad. Exactly where the museum is located. Housed the African American community. Lot 16. You see how red light is. So red light is their
The shortcut for the American dream. In 1890, but also in competition and hard choices. Huge waves of immigrants landed on our shores in the late 18 and early 1900s. Most put their faith in the system, in the police, the courts, their jobs. Bit by bit, they worked their way out of the ghetto. A few, however, thought they could choose a shortcut to the American dream. In 1890, the New Orleans chief of police was ambushed. No one ever proved who killed him, but people were whispering the word mafia. Italian immigrants in the Crescent City had to beware as anti-immigrant lynch parties took the law into their own hands. Some Italians did bring with them a secret criminal society which went back generations in Sicily. But not all organized crime was Italian. New York had a long history of gang warfare. There were Irish gangs, Jewish gangs, all crammed together in the city's slums.
park of 20,000 quarts of whiskey now being destroyed under court order. Go to it, boy.
In 1920, the American government went to war with alcohol. Most people just moved their drinking underground. For men from the mean streets of ghettos around the country, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. Gangsters became bootleggers. Nobodies became wise guys. The bosses became rich and powerful, hobnobbing with society's upper crust. The city most brazenly defiant of prohibition laws, Chicago, became known as the mob capital of the country. America was one big speakeasy, and the underworld was supplying the booze.
Anything secret? Yeah, okay. You made it to the third floor. You want to get started with your tour, you're going to have to. But if you need the bathroom, it's over there.
Welcome to the third floor. This is where the story of the mob begins. Start to your right.
Sorry, I forgot to shave today. Been having troubles here. We're at the mob museum. And yeah, we're at the mob museum. I'm having troubles today. Maybe we should park closer, I don't know. But apparently they have a museum here. Fun fact about the Pyramid Luxor, they have a beam that goes all the way in outer space. You can see from outer space. Fun fact. And there's Mandalay Bay. Just a little bit of fun fact. We're going to parking here. Bellagio fountains. MGM Grand coming up. Polo Club condominiums. There's a travel lodge. A travel lodge in the middle of the strip there. Park MGM. I've stayed there once. It was actually called Monte Carlo when I stayed there. Same building. New York, New York. These are 1/3 the size of the real New York City buildings. MGM Grand, the world's biggest. Well, at one time it was the world's biggest hotel in the world. Tropicana is no more. They're billion. The Oakland A's have moved to Las Vegas. They're gonna be Las Vegas A's. But all Oakland teams have left. But they're building the Oakland A's a stadium, or Las Vegas A's. Oakland, for some reason, does not want to do anything. Here's the Excalibur, at one time the world's largest hotel. But no one's staying at the Tropicana. They're slowly tearing it down. Instead of exploding it, they're just slowly tearing it down bit by bit. Excalibur at one time was the largest at one time by floor space. The MGM overtook that by floor space. And then, of course, Luxor and Mandalay Bay coming up. They're also building another one where you see that spire there. That got put on hold. They ran out of money or something. I forgot the name. I think it's called Oasis or something that they're supposed to build right there, but that got put on hold. We're now approaching the Luxor, which inside. But that spire is part of a casino that's supposed to be going up, but got put on permanent hold. They ran out of money. And there's Delano and Mandalay Bay. There's the Bellagio, Paris, Hilton Grand Planet Hollywood, former Aladdin area, Cosmopolitan. Planet Hollywood was where the Aladdin. There's a little bit of remnants of the Aladdin. You could look if you look closely at the Aladdin. You can see the remnants of what tower is still left from the Aladdin. You can see what's left of it. You can kind of closely, if you look at the Aladdin.